Thank you for joining our Light Up a Life event this year. I'm Alpana Malde, Chief Executive of St. Luke's, and this is Gillian Schiller, Chairman of the Board of Trustees. This is an opportunity to remember the people you have loved and lost and look back on fond memories with them. For myself, it means remembering my mum and all the happy times with her, and also my mother-in-law, who died here at St. Luke's 5 years ago. Death is an event that happens once. Memories are something that stay with us all the time. We are humbled and grateful that you are here today, reliving your memories of loved ones whilst raising vital funds for hospice care. You'll be hearing personal stories today and some musical performances. And if you can please light a candle with us before we hold our minute's silence, later and before switching on our lights. Each light that shines will be in memory of someone special. Thank you again for your support and for remembering your loved ones who you have lost. We hope that this event is as special for you as it is for us.
My mother was very lucky to experience her last few days in the care of the special place that is St. Luke's Hospice. I cannot describe the gratitude I have for this charity. The loving care and consideration they provided, not only for my mother, but also my family, was profound and is the definition of altruism. It meant my mother was able to live her last few physical days pain-free, peacefully, and with dignity. I cannot emphasise how different our memories would be if it was not for the benevolence St. Luke's Hospice afforded my family, not to mention the thousands of other families lucky enough to receive such tender care too. Mum had been diagnosed with breast cancer, but bravely battled for 2 years through chemotherapy, mastectomy and radiotherapy. Her inner strength shined through, and doctors confirmed her treatment was successful and she could continue to enjoy her life. However, 3 months later, she suddenly became unwell. After several tests, the hospital confirmed the cancer had returned and aggressively spread through her body. Her life was turned upside down when we were told she had days to live. A palliative nurse introduced us to St. Luke's Hospice, and from that moment it seemed as if we were given a divine gift. A spacious, bright room became available with peaceful views of the garden, but she was adamant she did not want to leave home. However, 2 of St. Luke's home visiting nurses visited her house to introduce themselves. From that moment, their warmth and even humour made it an easy decision for my mum. So much so, a brief time there made it feel like home, and it would have been difficult to make her leave. This year has been a special year for me personally, as I've connected with dozens of people who are involved with St. Luke's. I participated in their annual 51-mile fundraising walk this summer, where I met all the walkers, staff and other family volunteers. They even hosted a barbecue reunion as a thank you to all the fundraisers. It was a pleasure to have been involved, but an even greater privilege to get to know so many of the staff, volunteers, and see firsthand how crucial these fundraising events are for St. Luke's survival. Grief and bereavement has undoubtedly been the hardest thing I've faced in my life. Taking Mum to the hospice with the knowledge she would never come home should have left a scarring memory. But the truth is, every time I think of St. Luke's, I have nothing but positive, uplifting memories, and I light up with a smile. They made my mum feel inner peace, leaving us too with a smile. It also means, with the recent opening of the Memorial Garden, many families like myself can sit, reflect, and feel close to their loved ones, peacefully celebrating their lives. My mother's warmth, energy, and smile would light up any room. Her mantra was to think of others, show goodwill, and always have fun with a smile. I invite you to help St. Luke's Hospice continue to carry this torch that touches every mind, heart, and soul by supporting them with all the selfless work they do. They are a special charity that offers a timely reminder of the gift we all possess, humanity. Thank you.
secret chord, but David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. You say I took the name in vain, though I don't even know the name. But if I did, well really, was it to you? There's a blaze of light in every word. It doesn't matter what you heard. The holy or the broken, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. I did my best, it wasn't much. I couldn't feel, so I tried to touch. I'm told the truth, I didn't come to fool you. And even though it all went wrong, I stand before the Lord of song with nothing on my tongue but hallelujah, 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 hallelujah,
Hello, my name is Tonya Canino. I'm a clinical nurse specialist and I work with the community team at St Luke's Hospice. My role entails working with patients in their own homes who may have a life-limiting illness. Those illnesses can be variable. They can be neurological in origin, so that might mean that they have Parkinson's disease, motor neurone disease, multiple sclerosis, dementia. A large proportion of our patients have cancer, and I just wanted to explain to you how I work to meet the needs of the patients, working within the wider team based at St Luke's. And I just wanted to be able to demonstrate how we work together to meet the needs of the patient, both in the community and at St Luke's Hospice. So the patient I met about 2 years ago, he was a 46-year-old gentleman, and he'd been given a diagnosis of a very aggressive cancer. He was a Polish gentleman, he didn't speak any English, and then that in itself presented its own challenges. He was married, he had 2 teenage children. The eldest child had severe autism, and again that presented its own challenges. His youngest child was only 2. His cancer diagnosis had a devastating effect on the family in every way that you could imagine. It was physical, it was emotional, it was financial. He lost his job, he could no longer support his family, and that affected how he saw himself as a provider. I worked with his GP to try and manage his physical symptoms at home, which was successful to a degree, but his symptoms actually became quite complex and he needed several admissions to IPU in order to manage his symptoms more effectively. The inpatient unit were fabulous, they were so accommodating. Being aware of his situation, they would often admit him at short notice, which was incredibly helpful to him and his family. I worked with patient and family support team, and there was a member of staff within that team who was fluent in Polish, which was incredibly helpful in trying to communicate with this particular patient. That person also ensured that this patient had all the benefits that he was entitled to, so a degree that alleviated some of the financial hardship. They also made sure that the family had food bank vouchers. So things did improve slightly. Unfortunately, this patient didn't respond to conventional treatment, and eventually he was diagnosed with progressive disease, which meant that he had no further treatment options, and actually he was told by his oncologist that he was dying, which he took on board, and there were certain things that he particularly wanted to happen before he died. He wanted to die at St Luke's, but the thing that he wanted most of all was to have a last Christmas at home with his wife and with his children. And this is where the fundraising team came in, and the fundraising team were amazing. They provided everything that that family needed to have a good last Christmas. So they were given a Christmas tree, they had decorations in the house, the children had wrapped Christmas presents that they could open on Christmas Day. And I went to the house and I was able to see what an impact this had on the family. And it was just lovely to see. And they did have a good last Christmas. And shortly after Christmas, he came in to St Luke's on the inpatient unit and he died quite peacefully. So for me, the hospice is about having the skills and the support to meet the needs of the patient, but it's also about being supported so that I can meet the needs of the patient.
Here at St Luke's, we know how important the time at the end of someone's life is, and how every day has to be the best day it can be. Indeed, every hour of every day has to be the best it can be. We do our level best in supporting every single household and its wider family to make this happen as far as is possible. For us, it's not just the individual who matters, it's the circle of loved ones around them. Yes, we deal in clinical treatments, making people feel more comfortable, pain-free, but more than that, we deal in respect, in dignity, and in love. Thank you to everyone who spoke and performed today, and thank you for joining us to remember and celebrate the lives of so many people who are close to our hearts. All the generous donations that we've raised with your heartfelt tributes will help us to continue the excellent and compassionate care that you've heard about. We really couldn't do what we do without your support. You can still dedicate a light and see all the virtual shining lights on our website. I'd like to share a poem with you. When I've finished reading it, we'll light this candle and hold a minute's silence to remember the loved ones we've come here to celebrate. Remember me. To the living, I'm gone. To the sorrowful, I will never return. To the angry, I was cheated, but to the happy, I am at peace. And to the faithful, I've never left. I cannot speak, but I can listen. I cannot be seen, but I can be heard. So, as you stand upon a shore gazing at a beautiful sea, as you look upon a flower and admire its simplicity, remember me. Remember me in your heart, your thoughts and your memories. The times we loved, the times we cried, the times we fought, the times we laughed. For if you always think of me, I will never have gone. I'm going to light this candle now, and I invite you to do the same, and then we will hold a minute of silence so that we can reflect upon the joy of our loved ones and our special memories of them. Now let's switch on this year's Light Up a Life lights here in our special memory garden at the front of the hospice. They'll shine throughout December. Remember, you're very welcome to come here to the hospice to see these lights at any time during this month. We'd be really delighted to see you. Thank you.
And thank you.